Good morning, lovely people, and thank you for tuning in again today. As you saw from the intro today, we're going to talk all about trusts. So what is the purpose of a trust? Why is it important to protect your assets? And what happens to you or your trust when you pass on? So today we got one specialist in the field. We've got 5 questions and only 10 minutes. So without wasting any more time, I'd like to welcome Annemarie Schutte, who is the Managing Director of Treasury Trust Services. So Annemarie, thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Good morning, Damien. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Annemarie, I'm going to jump straight into the first question. And for those who are watching who may not know or understand, can you explain to us exactly what is a trust and why do we need it?
All right. So a trust is basically a contract between parties whereby they agree on specific terms in order to manage the assets that's going to be transferred to the trust. So the trust must be managed properly in order to give you certain benefits. So I'm going to run through a couple of those benefits. So the assets will then not form part of your estate, and then you will enjoy protection against your personal creditors, protection for minor children, since they cannot inherit in terms of South African law. If there's not provision made for a trust, then those funds will be paid to the guardian's fund, and that is managed by government. So you obviously don't want that option. You also have the benefit of continuity to have your assets transferred into trust, and also then for the future generations to benefit from your assets that you've built up over the years. There's also tax efficient income splitting in your trusts, especially if you follow the wealth mastery system. And you can also reduce or even eliminate your estate duty and capital gains tax on death. And that's only to mention a few benefits of a trust.
Now, Annemarie, I understand that there's obviously not just one single person who is managing or in charge of that trust. So does the person who created the trust still have control over the assets in the trust, or how does that work?
This is a very good question, Damien, and a lot of people struggle with control. So you need to give up some control in order for all the trustees to manage the assets jointly. That's extremely important to have a proper trust. So all the trustees will make decisions unanimously, and therefore, it's also very important to choose your co-trustees and your independent trustee very wisely.
But now, Annemarie, speaking of the independent trustee, why do you have to have an independent trustee on your trust?
So it is a requirement by law. From 2017, the master will also not register as they call a family business trust if there's not an independent trustee. That's their way to ensure that a trust is managed properly. But not all third parties will be seen as an independent trustee. It's very important to choose someone who is truly independent from any of the parties involved in the trust. So that will even include the beneficiaries. So no, you can't use your family attorney or your personal accountant as your independent trustee.
And Annemarie, let's say you have a trust and it's been going for a couple of years, you have your assets in there, and sadly you pass on. What happens to that trust? Because you mentioned there was continuity. So what happens to the trust and, once the person passes on?
Yes, Damien, you're right. So all the assets that's held in trust will not be taken into account when your estate is administered. So that's very important to have that split between your personal assets and that held by trust. So basically, there shouldn't be any effect on the assets held by trust. We will simply appoint a replacement trustee that will basically take your position to manage the trust, and the assets will be managed from there. So there shouldn't really be a major effect in your personal capacity and also in the lives of your spouse and other loved ones.
So Annemarie, you just mentioned now that you will then appoint another trustee. I'm assuming then if you are acting as the independent trustee, you would do that appointment. How is that process done? Can the person who created the trust, do they stipulate who would take over the trust in the event that they are no longer able to?
Yes, so they do. So you can either nominate a replacement trustee in your trust deed or in your will. Obviously, if you do it in your will, you need to ensure that you have that nomination in your last will and testament so that it is valid at all times.
And I think that's quite important because I think a lot of people forget that you still need to have a will when you have a trust. Am I correct?
Yes, that is definitely very, very important. So your trust will not replace your will. Your will still deal with all the assets in your personal capacity, and you will also deal with the nomination and appointment of your executor and guardians if you have minor children. So it's very important to ensure your will is updated, especially after you've set up your trust structure. And generally, we advise the clients to just revisit the will after a major life event, for example, another child being born, or if there's a divorce or a marriage.
Amazing. And Annemarie, you obviously work with Treasury Trust Services. Why would you suggest someone chooses TTS or Treasury Trust Services for their trusts?
So TTS is one of the service providers in the Destinata group of companies. It is very convenient to make use of our services because of our group setting. We are able to provide the client as a group with all the services that client will need in order to ensure that client's assets are transferred, kept safe in trust, with the accounting necessary, and there's a couple of other companies in the group. If the clients go to our website, they can obviously just have a look at that. So you basically have everything you need under one roof. We also specialize in living trusts. So it is always a very good idea to have your independent trustee with trust specialists.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Annemarie, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. And you guys at home, thanks for taking the time to tune in and watch. Now, Annemarie did mention quite a little bit about trusts, but she also mentioned the Wealth Mastery System. So if you don't know what that is and you'd like to get more information, we are doing a free live full-day webinar on Saturday. That is this Saturday, the 6th of March, from 9 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. So if you want to join that, please make sure you register on the website, which is www.wealthmastersclub.com. And on the top right-hand corner, you will see the option to register for the webinar. And then we will see you there and talk more about trusts, property, investments, and how you can create generational wealth. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.